Moore has been riding bikes for over 2 decades, which is long enough to have completed centuries, Ironmans, and multi-day tours, and to know that cycling is never just about the bike. She rode more than 4,000 miles last year, chasing equal parts fitness, sanity, and perspective. She's also a stand-up comedian and a journalist whose work has appeared in the Washington Post, Bicycling, Outside, Self, and Runner's World. With a background in occupational therapy, she brings both professional insight and I lost my spot. She brings professional insight and lived experience to her talks, using sport to explore resilience, aging, identity, and the specific joy of type 2 fun, choosing to do hard, sometimes very miserable things that only feel worthwhile after the fact. And I was just doing the math this morning, and I have been friends with Pam for 39 years. So
I think
yay!
is that a PR?
That's PR. That's 39. That's part of the PR. 39 years that I have been friends with Pam, and I will be sharing her website, her socials, her LinkedIn, and all that good stuff in the chat.
Shall I begin?
You can begin. Go for it.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you for having me. Thank you, Melissa, for that kind introduction. I'm like really excited to be here. And I hope that you don't mind that I'm dressed perhaps unprofessionally, but in Boulder, Colorado, where I am, it's Saturday morning at 8 and I have a 9:30 ride. So I thought, okay, I can be all ready to go after this and head out right for my ride. So I thought that was apropos to the topic of everything I need to know about life I learned on the bike. So again, thanks for having me. As Melissa mentioned, I have been riding bikes for over 20 years. I started out actually taking a spin class with a coworker. We decided it would be fun to go to this 6 a.m. class Monday, Wednesday, Friday before work. And we had this whole plan. We're like, we're gonna go to the class, we're gonna shower at the gym, we're gonna go for coffee, and then we'll show up at work so refreshed and so ready to go, and it's gonna be amazing. And I was super into it. After 6 weeks, I was like, I love this. I think I want to buy a bike. Even though I had not even been on a real bike since I was like 12 years old, but I was like, I'm doing this. And she was like, I'm quitting the gym. She hated it. Her husband at the time was a psychiatrist, and you had to get a doctor's note to get out of the gym membership. So she got a doctor's note. I got a bike, and the rest is history. I bought a road bike, as you can see in the photo there. That's a road bike with the skinny tires. Did I get stand? No, I didn't. And yeah, I welcome questions. Thank you. No, I didn't get stood up. Like she just quit, and I was like, "That's fine. Do what you got to do." Um, I got a road bike, thinking that someday I wanted to do a triathlon, and I did. A couple years later, I did a sprint triathlon. A few years after that, I did my first Ironman. And as I've gotten older and injured, and my body doesn't tolerate running as well, I've gotten really into biking. And as Melissa sort of mentioned in my intro, that I have explored many different kind of career paths. I was an occupational therapist. I've been a journalist. I am a comedian. I am a group facilitator. I've produced shows. I've done all kinds of things. I have 2 children. I've been married, going on 16 years. And I'm realizing that everything I ever learned on the bike applies to life. And I want to tell you more about that. And I've got my timer going, and I am going to be sure that there is time for questions at the end. It feels weird to be here, honestly, like talking to you over Zoom. I'm actually most excited to hear what your questions are and maybe get to know you a little bit at the end. But this is what I've learned, and I hope that it's helpful for you, whether you're a cyclist, a wannabe cyclist, or hate. Okay, you already have a question. Love it. So number one, pick a path and commit to it. This is especially relevant on the gravel bike. I just got into gravel a few years ago, where I would say gravel is kind of a mix between road and mountain. The tires are fairly skinny, but they have tread. So you can see me in that photo there on a dirt road like that. You can go on dirt, you can go on gravel, and it can be a lot of rocks. It can be a lot of roots. It can be loose. It can be sandy. For me, it can be scary because I'm used to just like pavement. And I find that in life a lot of times, I'm sure y'all have done this. You decide, okay, I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to do it. And after like 3 days, you come across a piece of chocolate cake that you just can't resist. You eat the cake and you're like, ah, forget it. This eating healthy thing, it's not working. Screw it, right? Well, not to be mean, but 3 days is not enough time to really see how that healthy eating is going to go, right? So when you pick what you want to do, you got to commit to it. Same thing. I don't know if any of you have been like, all right, I'm going to post on LinkedIn every single day. I'm going to grow my business through LinkedIn. And after a week, you're like, I have no new connections, no new followers, no new clients. Forget this. But I think, as we all know, it doesn't work like that. You have to take small actions, and really, once you decide what you're going to do, you're going to commit. You're going to commit and see it through and see what happens. And I find this to be true on the bike all the time because, especially when the terrain gets tricky, you need to pick a line. It's called picking a line. Some of you may be cyclists and you know what I'm talking about, some of you may not. But pick your path and stick to it. Because if you are indecisive in the middle of the path, you will go down. If you get going without having chosen a path, you will go down. And ask me how I know that. So that's lesson number one, pick a path and commit to it. Lesson number two, show up. Show up again and again and again and again and again and again. Throw in the chat, if you don't mind, what new thing you have tried in the last, say, 5 years. Like for me, for example, I just got into comedy 2 years ago. And lately, I have been performing for senior citizens at retirement communities. And yesterday, in fact, not yesterday, sorry, Monday. Monday, I performed at a memory care facility. And this is a facility, it is locked. It is locked in many different ways. The residents, I don't think they have dementia. They are not oriented to time, place, maybe even don't know who they are. Maybe couldn't even tell you their name, so I probably don't have to tell you. Had a room of like 30 people, and I'm gonna say at least 15 of them were dead asleep by the time I was done. Some of them started out being asleep. Most of them had this like vacant stare in their eyes. And I got up and I did my routine anyway. I've performed at open mics where literally nobody has laughed. I have performed for 7 people. I have performed for 5 people. But it's like a rep is a rep. You got to exercise those muscles and get up and do it. You know, if you've ever been to the gym, you know you're not going to get fit showing up once a week, right? You got to keep showing up. You got to exercise those muscles so you can be strong and nimble when it counts. And it's like every workout or every set or every whatever it is. Oh, there no chat? Oh, oh, here's the chat. Um sorry, I'm just looking to see if you did not follow the instructions. I asked you to put your new endeavors in the chat. That's okay. Um it's just about showing up. And I found that to be true so many times on the bike. Like, for example, last summer, there's like this 3 mile section of dirt on a ride that I've done this ride a million times. And when I started out doing it, I've had to walk almost the whole section. You know, the next time I walk 80% of the section. And what I noticed the most recent time I did it, I was like, wow, I only walked about 10% of that. And I can see it in the time. I have a little app that tells me like how long it takes me to do different segments. And like you can see in the time, and it's like, I didn't do anything special. I went to one skills clinic. I never have had like one-on-one coaching. I don't sit around and watch YouTube videos trying to figure out how to do these things. I just show up and do them. And by simply showing up over and over, gardening, yeah, that gardening, right? You gotta show up, you gotta trim the thing, you gotta water the thing, it's not like the one big gardening day that you do one day a year, right? It's like the consistent showing up. Um, so whatever you're doing, show up, do it imperfectly. Don't wait for the time that you're going to do it perfect and for 5 hours. Show up 15 minutes every day. Okay, so I think you get it. Um Number 3. I think we've all it's when things get rough, loosen your grip. And I think for many of us, I can speak for myself, when life gets hard, I want to like tighten. I want to control everything. I want to map everything out. But that never works, right? Because there's so many variables that you just can't control. And for example, on the bike, this is so applicable. Like when it gets windy, I used to hate wind, just hate it, especially you can't see me fully here, but I'm 5 feet tall. I'm a petite person. When it would get windy, especially like with the crosswinds, I would feel like, oh my God, I'm going to go down. I hate this. And I would like get this like death grip on the handlebars. But actually, a source that I interviewed for an article for Bicycling Magazine, he told me when you do that, you're essentially turning your body into a sail and it's going to go whichever way the wind is blowing. Instead, relax. Your bike will pivot under you, but you will continue your forward momentum and you will stay upright. Similarly, when you are on rocky terrain, when you tense up, you are going to lose your balance. You are going to lose control of the bike. If you relax, your upper body essentially becomes a shock absorber for all of the rocks and roots that you're going over. And I think we've all seen that in life, when you kind of go with the flow instead of trying to like resist the flow, you save energy, you're more efficient, and everything's just more fun, right? It's just oh, Melissa loves that. Thank you, Melissa. Okay. Oh, thank you. 100, I'm 152.5 centimeters. Thank you for converting that to metric. Um, let's see. And I want to acknowledge that one, especially, I think is a lot easier said than done. And I'm not saying that I'm a pro on it, either on or off the bike. I think I should have caveated this whole thing by saying I'm not a pro at any of these. I'm not an expert on life. But so these are aspirational. Number four, if you are not sure where to go, slow down, maybe even stop. It's okay. Have you ever, I don't know how old you all are, but maybe some of you are old, like me and Melissa, and you started driving before we had little GPS robots in our pockets. How many times have you gotten lost and refused to stop and ask for directions and look at the map? And then all of a sudden, instead of being 5 minutes out of the way, you're like an hour out of the way. Same thing is true on the bike. If you literally don't know where to go, same thing. Stop, look at your map, look at landmarks. If you are on a rocky, rough road and you're not sure what is the most smooth, safe path forward, slow down. I actually had a very close encounter with the edge of a cliff. A cliff's maybe an exaggeration, but it was a very exposed trail where by exposure, I mean there's a trail and then it's a steep drop off the edge with nothing to catch your fall, were you to fall. And I was having too much fun. I was feeling overconfident. It got really rocky. And all of a sudden, I was about a centimeter from the edge and I was going to go down. And I freaked out and I jerked my bike the other way and went down. So thankfully, I was safe and it was just like a few scrapes and I was kind of scared. But if I had just slowed down and made a smart decision about either which way to go or just decided, you know what, this is over my head, I need to walk, I could have stayed upright. That would have been nice. Um, I'm realizing that I want to be on time, so I'm skipping. If I get off track with the numbers, just bear with me. But number five, yeah, so if you're paying close attention to your outline, just know that was aspirational. That was an outline. I'm not gonna like fully stick to it. You're gonna fall, okay? Everybody falls, whether it's a gravel ride and you're going over technical terrain, or I fully admit that I have fallen more than once while standing still on my bike. If you've ever watched, like, again, I don't know if y'all have a cycling background, but like if you watch the Tour de France or anything like that, you see that like we clip our shoes into the. Um, I've had problems at red lights when I was learning how to use my clipless pedals, um, and just fallen right over in traffic at rush hour. That's almost more embarrassing to your ego than it is to your body. But it happens. Actually, just last week, I stopped to let a faster cyclist go by on a rocky area. I don't even know what happened, but next thing I knew, I was down and I fell on a rock that really hurt. And it was, yeah, it was embarrassing. But I got back up. I got back up and I kept going. And yes, I was going a little bit more cautious. It shook me up a little bit, but just keep going. When you lose momentum because you have lost confidence in yourself, you'll never go forward, right? And I think we've all seen that when your career falters, when you make a mistake in a relationship. I think that's actually very applicable to a relationship. You're gonna fight with, when you're in an intimate relationship of any kind, there will be conflict. You may feel resentment, you may get in a fight, but can you repair it and move forward? That's when you're at work and either a client or your supervisor or a coworker is unhappy with you, it happens. can you accept the feedback and move on? So I could come up with a million examples, and I'm sure you can too, but we have a time constraint. What else do I have for you? Number six. This might be one of my favorites. Do not underestimate the power of community. And I know that this one will be resonant for all of you because you're here. This is your translating community. I think it's always true that you can go farther together, whether it's work, whether it's your neighborhood getting together. Like I'm part of a women's bike team. This is our logo. We're called Petunia Mafia. And when I first got my gravel bike, I signed up, I had the endurance and the fitness from road biking, but I had none of the skills to go off road. But I signed up for a ride, and the ladies were on this trail that's relatively close to my house, and I've run it a million times. Never occurred to me to bike it. So we get to the trailhead, and I'm like, oh, this is what we're doing? Oh my God. It was like skinny. It's called single track, which is about, I don't know how many centimeters that is, but it's skinny. It's about the width of like four of your bike tires. And it's windy and it can be rocky. And I just followed the girl in front of me. I was like, okay, whatever. If she can do it, I guess I can do it. And I know for a fact I never would have even attempted it had I not been in a group of people and just watching them and going, oh, okay, they can do it. I have a really good friend who's very experienced, and she's always giving me little coaching tips when we go out for a ride, and it's just so helpful. There have been so many people along the way that have given me tips and encouragement, and it means everything. And I'm sure you've seen that too. Maybe you've had a mentor, a boss, a supervisor, an aunt, a big sister, whoever in your life has urged you and kept you going. One little compliment, one little encouraging word can take you so far. And it's true on the bike and in life. And all right, I have a lot more points I haven't gotten to, but I want to pick out my two final favorites. Where are we? We're on number seven. I'm gonna go with seven, which if you're looking at your outline was originally number nine. Focus on where you want to go as opposed to what could go wrong right now. And before I keep talking, I'm just gonna pause for 3 seconds or five, I don't know, maybe 5 seconds and let you reflect a little bit on what is happening. And I know we all have something, right? What is happening in your life right now that is stressing you out? If you want to throw it in the chat, if it's not too personal, feel free. No pressure. Um, I can tell you right now, I'm dealing with some family stuff. Um, and it's true in life, it's true on the bike. Focus on, or my therapist says this. She says, thinking about she says, worrying is like praying for what you don't want to happen. So, same thing on the bike, right? I can't tell you how many times I've been staring straight down at all the rocks and roots that I think I'm going to fall over on. And the second, or even like the fraction of a second that it takes for me to go, oh, wait a minute, look up, look where you want to go, that is everything. I feel 1,000 times more confident and stable when I just go, okay, I got to look ahead, see where I want to go, and I can trust my bike to get over all this stuff. I can trust my brain to clock all these things in my peripheral vision and to know when everything is coming when I just look ahead. And I think it's true. It's true for all of the things. Um, don't worry. And it's true too for like, even this talk right now. I could have approached this talk going, oh my God, what if I forget what I was going to say? What if I'm not prepared enough? What if I look like an idiot? What if they don't want to hear this stuff? But instead, I approach this talk like, this is going to be fun. And what if I give a new insight or way of thinking about something to one person who leaves this and has a different perspective? Or what if one person is like, you know what? I have a translating gig coming up and it involves biking. This is so helpful. Boom. I've completely shifted my perspective and I'm less worried. And then finally, my absolute favorite tip, I think this is number 8 now, have fun. When you start getting stressed out about a new endeavor that you've committed to, like for fun, remember that it's supposed to be fun. Like I got in this really bad, I don't know what you want to call it, just a phase of my life in my 20s where my ego was ruling everything. I was always afraid that I wasn't going to keep up with my friends. I had this narrative that my fitness was a measure of my worth. And so whenever anybody was doing anything, I was like, I'll come, I'll go, I want to do it. It didn't matter how tired I was, how burnt out I was, if my legs, I was waking up every morning for months and my legs were just sore. I felt like I'd been hit by a bus in my sleep every night. And yet I would just keep on going out there and doing it. And it led me to start to hate the bike. And it led me to lose fitness. Even though instead of going, what I need is a break in my head, I thought I need to double down and do more of this. And I got into this overtraining cycle, and it took a while to get out of it. And I think if I had had the wisdom at the time, which I don't think I had because I had to go through it, it's okay. But it would have been cool if 46, no, 47, if 47-year-old me could go back to 27-year-old me, I would say, hey, are you still having fun? Is this actually fun? Because if it's not, like, nothing's keeping you here. You can take a break from the bike. It will be there for you when you have the enthusiasm again. So have fun with it. Like, whatever it is. Like, for me, that means exploring new routes. It means exploring trails instead of just roads. Actually, roads were getting less and less fun for me because cars are getting bigger and bigger, drivers are getting more and more distracted. And like, I mean, yes, I said before, don't worry so much, but I actually think the safety worry is legitimate. And I don't, I have two children, I have a husband, I have a lot of things that I want to come back in one piece for. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure how fun this is anymore. I want to try something else. And like, the the exhilaration of learning new skills in my late 40s is like just super duper fun, seeing new things. So yeah, have fun. And okay, we still have time for questions, but I'm just going to wrap up real quick and say that it's not honestly, it's really not even just that the bike is life. I think anything that you do and you put your heart into, you're going to see that that's life too. Like somebody mentioned in the chat, gardening. Oh, Celeste, we're the same height. Awesome. Gardening is a perfect metaphor for life. Like there's a oneness about life. Whether it's growing your career as a translator, whether it's deepening or finding meaningful relationships, everything is the same thing. So even if you don't relate to this, like you're like, I would never get on a bike, fine. That's okay. I'm sure you've done or are going to do something that's out of your comfort zone. And it's all giving you skills and insights that are going to serve you in all aspects of your life. So that's what I want to leave you with. Thank you again for having me. And I'm really excited to hear what your questions are.
Man, that was awesome.